Hey cats, it's your midsole man, EDDBUD here. Time to check out a brand new shoe from SAUCONY, this time with a hint of stability and some of the brand's top tier foam, PWRRUN PB. This is the Hurricane 24, just launched over here in the UK. Nice tall stack in the midsole on this one, but is it better than the recently released Triumph 22? Let's take a look. Thanks for tuning in, people, and watching the channel. It's always appreciated. Do hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already. It's free of charge, don't you know? Also, give the video a thumbs up, like, and drop us a comment to help fight the algorithm. Dankeschön. This is a shoe that SAUCONY have sent over to me for review, but they're not paying me to make this video, nor will they vet my views before my valued viewers get to see them. The Hurricane 24 coming in at about 357 grams or 12.6 ounces for my UK 11. I've learnt over the years not to put too much into the weight factor of a shoe. We have some vast cushion here though, people. I've got about 42mm of stack in the heel and about 36mm up front. So we do have a 6mm drop. All of those figures kind of tie up with what we got on SAUCONY's website. I've got a method of measuring the midsole stack where I'm only measuring internally, and all my measurements are pretty much coming in spot on when you scale the shoe's size from the sample. Taking a look at the midsole here, you can see that we've got two different foams here. There's some PWRRUN PB stuff, same as we see in the SAUCONY Endorphin Pro and the Endorphin Speed, and we do have a cage around that foam of PWRRUN, which is some of SAUCONY's older material. I've got short A durometer scores for about 24 on the PWRRUN PB section and about 33 short A for the PWRRUN section, so all very similar to what I've seen before with those foams. I do have to say the PWRRUN PB material here feels more like the stuff that we have in the Endorphin Speed 4 and the Pro 4. Doesn't feel quite as firm as the material that we have in the Triumph 22. When I saw that that shoe had PWRRUN PB, I was really excited, but does feel a little bit muted, slightly firmer. The stuff here is really lovely and squashy and soft. The rubber on the outsole of the Hurricane 24 is coming in at around about 75 short A, so it does make it one of the tougher rubber applications we've seen in a while. There's a nice coarse nature to the pattern here, it really does amplify the grip. Very wide shoe this one, about 13.2 centimeters up front and about 10.6 in the heel, so certainly one of the widest I've tested out. It's even wider than the A6 Super Blast 2. This one's coming in at 165 Earth credits here in the UK. That's about a £5 cheaper than the Triumph 22. Kicking off with the upper first. Now, straight off the bat, this one is a better fit for my foot at least than the Triumph 22. I think if you've got a slightly narrower foot, you're probably going to get on better with the Hurricane than the Triumph this time around. The Triumph 22 was a little bit baggy, there was just too much upper there, a little bit too generous. I think you could compare the Triumph 22 upper to the Ambassador from the Ferrero Rocher adverts. Just a little bit too generous. I'm not having to cinch the laces in anywhere near as much. I think that's down to those lace loops that we've got here. They seem to facilitate a much better fit. It's just easier to get a good lockdown here. Laces are once again the more flexible and stretchy type that we've seen in many different SAUCONY models over the last year or so. This time around, they kind of suit the upper a little bit better. It's a very plush one, that's for sure. Quite a lot of heel padding around here, although there's a quite nice low profile around the ankle. Reasonable padding in the tongue. Perhaps not the most breathable of uppers if you're in a very warm climate. It's probably not the shoe for you. Over here in the UK, where we get about 2 or 3 nice warm hot days in the year, probably going to be okay. Certainly a more cruiser kind of comfortable option. I wouldn't suggest this is going to be for higher pace training for anybody. Built for purpose though, I suppose, so it fits the bill. The overall plush feeling that we've got on the upper of the Hurricane 24 is amplified by an Ortholite insole. Slightly better than some of the standard kind of foam insoles that we get. It's a little bit more give to it, though it does amplify that step-in feel, so a very cushioned shoe. There's a few overlays on the shoe. They're not adding a huge amount of weight here. Certainly the one on the lateral side there. And the SAUCONY logo here acts more like a supportive element to the shoe, and a pull tab at the back if you like that sort of thing. I have a few minor gripes. You'll notice from this image on screen now that I had some considerable tongue slide with the Hurricane 24. The only thing stopping the tongue from going totally over to the side are the lace loop there. No issue in terms of like rubbing or the fit. It was still comfortable, but it just might be something you want to take into account, especially if you're thinking about using this shoe for much longer runs. I'll give it a 2.6 out of 3 for the upper. It's a little bit considerable for my liking in terms of the padding, and of course I had that tongue slide issue, and not a massive fan of those flexible, stretchy laces. Midsole, midsole, midsole now. So, midsole wise, a really nice surprise, this one. I've got to say, off the bat, really prefer this over the Triumph 22. The compression's lovely in this one. I think that's down a little bit to the 6mm drop that we've got here. It's nowhere near as aggressive, just means that the midsole kind of keeps out of the way of your foot strike somewhat, especially if you're going at slower paces, which is probably what you're going to do with this shoe. Stays out of the way of your stride and just feels like a good balance. There's a good combination of the foams here. Foam here is somewhat softer in terms of that PWRRUN PB section, almost like the two foams between the Triumph and the Hurricane are totally different. Triumph a bit firmer, the compression in the Hurricane is more consistent across the whole of the footbed. Though this is intended as a stability shoe, I can't say I really felt those elements were too prominent. Yes, very comfortable on foot, but I wouldn't suggest it's going to be for your faster sessions. I think you probably put this aside for easy runs, recovery runs, maybe some very long, slow outings. It's tailored for comfort, perhaps some daily miles. If you're looking to build up your endurance, then yeah, the Hurricane 24 is going to be great. Probably not a shoe that I'd want to run in a Hurricane with though. It's quite a lot of heft to this one, especially in my size. So the Hurricane 24 is coming in marginally heavier than the Triumph 22. I mean, it does make the Super Blast 2 seem like a feather compared to it. It is a bit of a shame that it's so heavy because it does have a lovely smooth ride. So bit more of a niche shoe, this one. I think if you do need a little stability, it's going to supply it. Though I think if you've got a very flat foot, I think you'll find that it's a little bit too much there in the arch for you. I think the Super Blast 2 remains the absolute go-to for comfort if you don't want something that's really hefty. If you're perhaps a heavier built runner and you need a shoe that's not mega wide in terms of the actual upper, but does give you some really good forefoot surface area here, then the Hurricane's going to be perfect for you. If you just want something with a beautiful layer of cushion underfoot, perhaps you're on your feet all day or something, the Hurricane 24 is the one to go for right now. If you don't want the overt instability that you've got in something like the Invincible run. I'll give it a 2.7 out of 3 for the midsole. Outsole wise, the shoe is certainly set up to be used on road and pavement. I don't think it's going to be one that you should even think about using on even light trails. There's quite a lot of exposed midsole here. I did find some thorns and smaller rocks already starting to penetrate through the PWRRUN stuff. It's quite rubbery in fact, and the stuff just sticks in there. The PWRRUN PB section as well does take a pounding. It's going to get pretty gnarled up pretty quickly. It's not the sort of foam that you should be running on gravel or anything like that. It's mainly here on the medial side to provide a bit of stability. Just guides the foot through the strike really nicely. I found the rubber offers up some pretty good grip. There's quite a lot of ridges here in multi directions. Reminds me a little bit of like a herringbone basketball kind of pattern. There's a little bit more toe flexibility here due to that rubber in the Hurricane 24. The Triumph did feel a little bit rigid. This one doesn't have that same sort of problem. So don't really see there being too many issues in terms of durability here if you're going to use it on road and pavement. If you're going to use it with surfaces where there's lots of debris, then you might want to think again. Performed pretty well on some damp concrete and some smoother stones. That has been a bit of a problem in recent years with some of the SAUCONY outsoles. I think it's easily at home on like dry tarmac roads and pavement. Just felt a little bit clunky on anything resembling uneven terrain or gravel. There are some slight Nova Blast vibes about this one, where you've got this additional sort of piece of rubber going up through the centre here of the forefoot. Though I wouldn't suggest you get a sort of trampoline-like experience from it, but grip has been improved, and that's something we've seen across all SAUCONY models recently. I'll give it a 2.7 out of 3 for the outsole. The rubber and the wide surface area are really good, though the exposed midsole here could be a problem in the future. Value now. So value-wise, 165 Earth credits for this one at retail. I have noticed there's a couple of websites that are saying for a bit cheaper. I think it's Start Fitness. Go and check them out if you want a bit of a discount. So kind of pitching it around about the same place as the Invincible run. A little bit cheaper than the Triumph 22. Build-wise, the shoe's absolutely fantastic out the box. There's no dodgy stitching, no glue seepage. holding the foam parts together, though I would suggest that for max cushion models the prices seem to be going through the roof right now, only going in one direction really for all shoes. And when you consider there's sort of lower range models like the Adizero SL2, which are just over 100 quid, then it makes these super stacked shoes feel even less of a bargain. The Saucony lineup does seem a little bit overstocked really. There's lots of different shoes and you kind of need to dig a little deeper to figure out what they are. You got things like the Ride 17, there's the Triumph, the Guide, Kinvara Pro, I mean I could go on. All of them have got close now to 40mm of heel stack, and that's no doubt going to confuse people, but I think this is one of the better models that they've released with those bigger stacks. It's a really comfortable shoe, and I can see this appealing to somebody who wants to get a shoe for perhaps some daily running, but also wants to utilise it on a sort of daily basis just to wear all the time, you know, to take the weight off their feet. Value-wise though, it's a bit of a niche option still, though a better one than the Triumph 22. I'm going to give it 2.6 out of 3 for value after my initial runs. If I've totaled the scores up correctly after my initial runs, we've got 10.6 out of 12 for the Saucony Hurricane 24. Real surprise this one, really enjoying that buttery smooth cushion. Is this a model you're thinking about picking up? Have you been a fan of the Hurricane model in the past? Let me know your thoughts on this one down in the comments. Quick musical interlude for you. Today from Mac DeMarco, one of my favourite tracks from him is called Preoccupied. The guitar playing on this one is just beautiful. There's so much space in the whole of the production, you can pick out every single little subtle nuance. The vocal, beautiful as well, so pure, he sounds like he's right beside you just singing away. Such meagre instrumentation, but it just makes for a really beautiful, very calming sort of song. Bird sounds in the background as well. I wondered whether they're real or sampled, but either way they really work and add to the tune. Almost sounds like it could have been a track from Neil Young's Harvest album. It's that kind of production, very dry, it's not too much reverb on stuff. The bass line's super simple, everything just comes together. It's kind of like eating a piece of wholemeal toast with some honey on it. It's that kind of vibe. Go and check it out, people. Preoccupied by Mac DeMarco. Thanks for tuning in. It is always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already, and give this video a thumbs up like too. It really helps out. Drop us a comment to help fight against the algorithm. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you